Krishna hoite chaturmukha, hoy Krishna sevanmukha.
Krishna hoite chaturmukha, hoy Krishna sevanmukha.
Brahma hoite naradarmati,
Brahma hoite naraderamati.
Narada hoite vyasa, madhva kohe vyasadasa.
Narada hoite vyasa, madhva kohe vyasa.
Purna pragya padmanabha gati.
Punya pragya padmanabha gati.
Hari madhava hamse, akshobhya paramahamse.
Madhvamse Akshobhya Paramahamse.
Shisha boli angikara kore.
Shisha Boli Angikara Kore.
Akshobhya shisha jaya, Titaname parichaya.
Akshobhya Shishya Jaya Kirtaname Parijaya.
Paradishaya jnana sindhutore.
Aradase Jnana Sindhu Tore.
Tahoite dayanidhi, taradasa vidyanidhi.
Ahoite Dayanidhi Ardasa Vidyanidhi.
Rajendra hoilo tahate.
Rajendra Hoilo Taha Hoite.
Tara kinkoro jaya, dharma name parichaya.
Taha Kimpura Jaya Dharma Name Parichaya.
Parampara jano balumate.
Parampara Jano Balomate.
Jaya dhamma dasidate, Shri Purushottama gajati.
Dasikati Vipurushottama Jati.
Tahate Brahmanya Tirthasari.
Ahite Ramanya
Suri
Tirthasuri.
Vyasa Tirtha Taradasa, Lakshmi Pati Vyasadasa.
Vyasa Tirtha Taradasa Lakshmipati Vyasadasa.
Tahate Manavendra Puri.
Ahite Madhavendra Puri.
Madhavendra Puri Bara, Shisha Bara Shishwara.
Madhavendra Puri Bara Shivara Shishvara.
Nityananda Shri Advaita Vibhu.
Nityananda Shri Advaita Vibhu.
Ishvara Purike Dhanya Korilen Shri Chaitanya
Ishvara Puri Ke Danya Koilen Shri Chaitanya
Jagadguru Gaura Mahaprabhu
Jagadguru Gaura Mahaprabhu
Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya
Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Hare Anya
Rupanuga Janera Jivana
Upanuga Janera
Vishvambara Priyankara Shri Swarupa Damodara
Vishvambara Priyankara Shri Sarupa Damodara
Shri Goswami Rupa Sanatana
Shri Goswami Rupa Sanatana
Rupa Priya Mahajana Shiva Raghunatana
Rupa Priya Mahajana Jiva Raghunatana
Tara Priya Kavi Krishna Dasa
Hare Priya Kavi Krishna Dasa
Krishna Dasa Priya Bara Narottama Seva Para
Krishna Dasa Priya Para Pratama Seva Para
Sharapada Vishwanatha Asha
Jarapada Vishwanatha
Vishwanatha Bhakta Sata Baladeva Jagannatha
Vishwanatha Bhakta Satha Deva Jagannatha
Tara Priya Shri Bhakti Vinoda
Hare Priya Shri
Bhakti
Vinoda
Mahabhagavata Bara Shri Gaura Kishora Bara
Mahabhagavata Vara Shri Jagatishvara
Hari Bhajane Devaramoda
Hari Bhajane Jayaramoda
Ihara Paramahamse Gauranga Nija Bhangse
Ihara Paramahamsa Gaurangera Nija Vamsa
Tadera Charane Mama Gati
Adira Sarane Mamagati
Ami Seba Udasina Namete Tridandidina
Ami Seva Udasina Amite Vidandina
Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati
Shivati Siddhanta Saraswati
Shri Bharshana Vibhara Sarasya Seva Para
Shiva Shabana Vibhara Sarasya Sevapara
Tara Daita Dasanama Tara Pradhan Pacharako Shri Bhakti Vedanta Namo Patita Janete Daya Dhamma
Parivrajakacharya Ashtatar Shata Shri Srimad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtatar Shata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadigora Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. In the beginning of creation, the science of devotional service was received by the four-headed Brahma from the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Devarshi Narada's understanding of this divine science was obtained by Brahma. The great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, who was empowered to compile the Vedic literatures, became a disciple of Devarshi Narada. Sripad Madhavacharya, the founder of the Suddhadvaita school of Vedanta philosophy, who visited Vyasadeva at Badrik Ashram in the 13th century to learn from him Vedanta philosophy, calls himself a servant of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. Purna Pragya Tirtha Madhva is the guru and sole refuge of Padmanabha Tirtha.
Two other principal disciples of Madhava are Nahari Tirtha and Madhava Tirtha. Madhava Tirtha accepted the great Paramhamsa Aksobhya Tirtha as a disciple. The principal disciple of Aksobhya Tirtha was known as Jayatirtha. Jayatirtha's service was for his disciple Inan Sindhu.
Dayanidhi received the science of Jnana Sindhu, and the servant of Dayanidhi was Vidyadhira Tirtha. Rajinda Tirtha became a disciple of Vijayadiraj Tirtha. Rajinda Tirtha's servant was known as Jayadharma or Vijayadvaja Tirtha. In this way, you should properly understand this disciplic succession.
The great sannyasi Sri Purushottama Tirtha received his knowledge in the service of his guru, Vijayadvaj Tirtha, Jayadharma. The principal disciple of Purushottama Tirtha was Subramanya Tirtha. His servant was the great Vyasa Tirtha, Vyasadaya. Vyasa Tirtha's servant was Lakshmipati Tirtha, whose disciple was Madhavendra Puri Goswami.
The chief disciple of Madhavendra Puri was Ishwara Puri, and two of his other disciples were the renowned incarnations of Godhead, Sri Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the spiritual preceptor of all the worlds, made Ishwara Puri greatly fortunate by accepting him as his spiritual master.
Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya is non-different than Sri Sri Radha and Krishna and is the very life of those Vaishnavas who follow Sri Rupa Goswami. Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami were the givers of great happiness to Vishvambara, Sri Chaitanya.
The great souls, Jiva Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, became very dear to Rupa Goswami. Jiva Goswami was a disciple of Rupa Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami, a disciple of Advaita Acharya's disciple, Yadunandana Acharya, was accepted by Rupa and Sanatana as their third brother. Raghunath Das Goswami's beloved student was Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Krishna Das Kaviraj was an intimate friend of Lokanath Goswami. They lived together in Vrindavan and always discussed the topics of Krishna with one another. Lokanath Goswami, a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, had only one disciple whose name was Narottam Das. Narottam Das was always engaged in the service of his guru, and he also engaged himself in the service of his guru's intimate friend. Thus he became very dear to Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. To serve the feet of Narottam Das Thakur was the only desire of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who was the fourth Acharya in the disciplic succession from Narottam Das. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was the Shiksha Guru instructing spiritual master of Baladev Vidyabhushana, to whom he taught the precepts of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jagannath Das Babaji was a very prominent Acharya after Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana, and was the beloved Shiksha Guru of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's intimate friend and associate was the eminent Mahabhagavat Sri Gorkishore Das Babaji, whose sole joy was found in Hari Bhajan. These great saintly Vaishnavas are all Paramahamsas, or devotees of the highest order, and they are all part of Lord Gauranga's own spiritual family. Their holy feet are my refuge. I have no real interest in devotional services, and I am a poor and lowly Tridandi sannyasi named Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So this song was written by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and so in many of the temples when they would sing it, they wouldn't sing that last line there because it's spoken out of his great Vaishnava humility, and they would replace it with another line. And one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples wrote this 9a here, this line. The renowned Sri Varshabhanavi Dayita Das, the initiated name of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, is always engaged in the service of his spiritual master, Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji. His foremost disciple preacher is Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has spread the message of Lord Chaitanya throughout the world and is thus a reservoir of mercy and compassion for all fallen souls. Srila Jagannath Das Babaji ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Is it 17? 16? Swayam Danudvari Nidaya Mayam Bratuhu Puraha Marmasu Taditaha Api Saha Itam Ati Ulbana Karna Bhanai Gatavyataha Ayat Uru Manayanaha Swayam Danur Dvari Nidaya Mayam Ratu Puro Marmasu Taditopi. Saitam atyulbana karna baner. Gatavyato yad urumanayanaha. Swayam dhanurdvari nadayamayam. Ratu puro marma sutaditopi. Saitam atyulbana karna baner. Gatavyato yad urumanayanaha. Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam. Ratu puro marma sutaditopi. Saitam atyulbana karna baner. Gatavyato yad urumanayanaha.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidhayamayam.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Ratu puro marma sutaditopi.
Ratu puro marmi sutaditopi.
Itamatyubana karna bana.
Saitam atyubana karna baner.
Katavyato yadu manayana.
Gatavyato yadurumanayanaha.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Bratu puro marmasu taditopi.
Ratu puro marma sutaditopi.
Saitam achulbana karna baner.
Saitam atyulbana karna baner.
Gatavyato yad uru manayanaha.
Gatavyato yadurumanayanaha.
Swayang dhanurdvari nidhayamayang.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Bhratu puro marma sutaritopi.
Ratu puro marma sutaditopi.
Saitam atul bana karna banar.
Saitam atyulbana karna baner.
Gatavyato yadurumanayanaha.
Gatavyato yadurumanayanaha.
Swayam tanurdvari nidhayamayam.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Pratu puro marma sutaditopi.
Ratu puru marma sutaditopi.
Saitamutul vanam karna banar.
Saitam atyulbana karna baner.
Gato vyato yad urumanayanaha.
Gatavyato yadurumanayanaha.
Swavam dhanurdvari nidhayamayam.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Ratu paru marma sutaditopi.
Ratu puro marma sutaditopi.
Saitam ayobana karna baner.
Saitam atyulbana karna baner.
Gatavyato yad urumanayanaha.
Gatavyato yad urumanayanaha.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Ratu purumarma sutaditopi.
Ratu puru marma sutaditopi.
Saitam atyulbana karna bana.
Saitam atyulbana karna baner.
Katavyato yadurumanayana.
Gatavyato yadurumanayanaha.
Swayam dhanurdari nidhayamayam.
Swayam dhanurdvari nidayamayam.
Bratu Paromarmasuti Topi
Ratu Puro Marmasutaditopi
Saitam Matyabana Karnabaner
Saitamatil Banakarnabaner
Gata Vyato Yaduru Mangayanaha
Gata Vyato Yad Urumanayanaha
Swayam Dhanurdhari Nidayamayam
Swayam Danudwari Nidayamayam
Prarut Paru Marmasutadi
Ratu Puro Marmasutaditopi
Saitam Atyubanakarna Baner
Saitamatil Banakarnabaner
Gatavyato Yadumanayanaha
Gata Vyato Yadurumanayanaha
स्वयं धनुर्धारिनिदायमायां
Swayam Danurdwari Nidayamayam
भ्रातुः पुरो तदितोऽपि
Ratu Puru Marmasutaditopi
सैतम् अथुल्बाणकर्णबाणेर्
Saitam Atyul Banakarnabaner
गथा यथो याद् उरुमा मनयनः
Gata Vyato Yad Urumanayanaha Swayam, he himself, Danudwari, bow on the door, Nidaya, keeping, Mayam, the external nature, Bratuhu, the brothers, Puraha, from the palace, Marmasu, in the core of the heart, Taditaha, being afflicted, Api, in spite of, Saha, he, Vidura, Itam, like this, Ati Ulbana, severely, Karna, ear, Banai, by the arrows, Gatavyataha, without being sorry, Ayat, excited, Uru, great, Manayanaha, so thinking. Oh, in this book it says excited, but it might be, yeah, it's exited. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Purport: a pure devotee of the Lord is never perturbed by an awkward position created by the external energy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 3.27 it is stated, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. A conditioned soul is absorbed in material existence under the influence of different modes of external energy. Absorbed in the false ego, he thinks that he is doing everything by himself. The external energy of the Lord, the material nature, is fully under the control of the Supreme Lord, and the conditioned soul is fully under the grip of the external energy. Therefore, the conditioned soul is fully under the control of the law of the Lord. But due to illusion only, he thinks himself independent in his activities. Duryodhana was acting under such influence of the external energy, by which he would be vanquished at the ultimate end. He could not accept the sound advice of Vidura, but on the contrary, he insulted that great soul, who was the well-wisher of his whole family. Vidura could understand this because he was a pure devotee of the Lord. In spite of being very strongly insulted by Duryodhana's words, Vidura could see that Duryodhana, under the influence of Maya, the external energy, was making progress on the path toward his own ruination. He therefore considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Yet he also saw how the internal energy of the Lord helped him in that particular situation. A devotee is always in a renounced temperament because the worldly attractions can never satisfy him. Vidura was never attracted by the royal palace of his brother. He was always ready to leave the place and devote himself completely to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now he got the opportunity by the grace of Duryodhana, and instead of being sorry at the strong words of insult, he thanked him from within, because it gave him the chance to live alone in a holy place and fully engage in the devotional service of the Lord. The word gata vyataha, without being sorry, is significant here because Vidura was relieved from the tribulations which trouble every man entangled in material activities. He therefore thought that there was no need to defend his brother with his bow because his brother was meant for ruination. Thus he left the palace before Duryodhana could act. Maya, the supreme energy of the Lord, acted here both internally and externally. Maharaj, would you like to speak on this?
One thing we learn here is that Vidura, although he was not considered a super warrior per se, he was a Kshatriya. He was trained as a Kshatriya. And he carried a bow. And so by leaving it here, he indicated that he was not going to protect Duryodhana anymore. There are many times in the Garga Samhita where the different persons go out for battles, the Kurus, and sometimes Vidura is there also. Just like a Kura, we may think Kura was not such a great, powerful warrior because the gopis kind of beat him up a bit when he was taking Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan. But actually, he was a great warrior. He was the commander-in-chief of the Yadu dynasty. So these are great warriors. And yeah, he was very qualified. Even Uddhava is also known as Mantri. Mantri means the counselor, prime minister. They also knew how to fight. Kshatriyas also. But generally when negotiations were needed, then persons like Vidura or Uddhava would be put forward to make those judgments and make those negotiations with the opposite party.
Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Kruna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Srimate Dhanavirga Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Disatarine Mukam Kroti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarine. So today is the appearance day of Jagannath Das Babaji. That's why we sung the Guru Parampara song. We can see him here on this whole wall of the Parampara, and this similar painting of him is in the room of Srila Prabhupada in New Dwarka in Los Angeles. It's a blue painted room, and there's a large painting like this of Jagannath Das Babaji on the wall. And I just briefly read one thing that was really interesting about Jagannath Das Babaji. This is in the Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava. And this is talking about when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur first appeared in this world. He was known as Bimala Prasad. Bimala Prasad was clearly not an ordinary boy. He had exceptional ability to remember and comprehend all kinds of topics. His voracious reading and his ability to exactly recall passages he had read only once were to earn him the epithet living encyclopedia. Even in his last days, he could reproduce verbatim any part of any book he had read 50 years back. His precious genius was accomplished by a gravity and intensity of purpose uncommon at such a tender age. Like Prahlad Maharaj and other great child devotees before him, Bimala Prasad did not waste time in frivolous sports or similar nugatory diversions. From the beginning, he was absorbed in fulfilling the mission of human life and spontaneously attracted to Krishna Bhakti. Sri Bihari Das Babaji, the personal servant of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, described young Bimala. I often saw Srila Bhakti Siddhanta in his childhood in Calcutta at the house of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur whenever I visited there with Babaji Maharaj. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta would wear only a pullover shirt. He struck me as having a serious nature. I was attracted by his effulgence and learning. He was always attached to the holy name. In his early years, his frame was very lean. Babaji Maharaj loved him dearly. I thought that was really amazing because at one time, there's 4 of these great acharyas in one area, and at least 3 of them in one room. Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj and Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And we also hear how Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj found where the real appearance site of Lord Chaitanya was at Yoga Pit in Mayapur. Yes, Maharaj?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur had done the research because before it was being presented that Lord Chaitanya made his appearance at Navadvip, the town of Navadvip. And so there were some persons who were presenting that was the real birth site. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur had access to the maps, the old maps. The British commanders, they also kept maps. So he consulted all those maps and different historical evidence that he gathered up. He was quite a researcher, and he wanted to find out. And it turned out that there was a place that it was in a Muslim area and owned by Muslims. So they didn't think it was a holy place, but there was one place that had tulsis all around there. And some very, very learned and advanced devotees in the area took it as the birth site of Lord Chaitanya. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, after consulting all these things, then he he was confident that this was the actual birth site of Lord Chaitanya. And it wasn't on the other side of Navadvip, but on the other side of the river from that. Because it said in the historical books that Lord Chaitanya took his birth on east or west side, whichever it was, one side of the river, of the Ganga. But they were saying he took birth on the other side. So anyway, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was convinced that this was the spot, but in order to confirm it, he arranged to bring Jagannath Das Babaji there. Jagannath Babaji at that time was well over 100 years old. I think 138 or something like that. Very old. And he couldn't walk. He was carried in a basket. So they carried him in a basket. And I think the story even goes, his eyelids were drooping over his eyes, so he had to hold up his eyelids to see. So when he got there, he became so ecstatic that this is it. He began dancing and chanting, glory to the Holy, jumping up in the... So that was a confirmation that this was the right place. This was actually, and since that time, it was established as the holy yoga pit, place where Lord Chaitanya appeared on this planet in Mayapur.
There was one other thing I had read about Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, that he had desired that a Vaishnava almanac be compiled. For really important reasons. Let me see. Oh, there's this nice drawing of him here also. Let's see. It's just mentioned briefly in this part of this book, but in 1901, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati floated another Jyotish monthly, Jyotirvid, and later, with the help of the renowned Jyotishi Nandulal Vidyasagara, he directed the publication of the Sri Navadvip Panjika. This was the fulfillment of a desire of Sri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, who had apprised Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur of the need for an almanac specifically meant for persons cultivating Shuddha Bhakti. For at that time, the only almanacs available catered to Smarta-dominated pantheistic Hinduism. Just as in his Sri Harinam Amrita Vyakarana, Srila Jiva Goswami had explained every word and grammatical case by utilizing a name of Hari, in Sri Navadvip Panjika, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati promoted Harinam by employing different names of Vishnu for each month, fortnight, and day. Additionally, he gave dates of Vaishnava festivals, proper and improper time frames for performing samskaras, and auspicious and inauspicious timings for undertaking various activities. So, this was one other desire of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, was to have this Vaishnava almanac, and it was also mentioned in this book how about the importance of language with Vaishnavas, because for devotees, they're describing something that is transcendental and beyond this world, and everything in connection with Krishna, the absolute truth. So to use languages that were then later made by just mundane persons, such as like the English language and other languages, it is difficult to then translate that transcendental idea into the English language. Because there's so many of the words already in Sanskrit that contain so many different meanings that are used to speak on transcendental subject matters. So this was one thing that I was thinking with this almanac, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did a lot of, there's a whole chapter on it, but anyway, the part that I remember was just that with, he gave the different meanings of words. So one meaning is how mundane people would use them, which is all words are based on sense gratification, more or less. Everything is used to indicate an object for my sense gratification. But then there's the Vaishnava use of the word, which is similar to how we see Lord Chaitanya was instructing his students in his schools when he was teaching on grammar in his early years, how all of the words are used to indicate Vishnu or service to Vishnu. So that was just something I thought of with that almanac point. So in this verse, oh, sorry, it's already over the time. Okay, is there any comment or question for, yes, Prabhuji?
It is said that Srila Jagannath Das Babaji lived an extraordinary long life, 144 years. And when he was young, he performed his bhajan in Vrindavan Dham. And when his body was older, he moved to Navadvip and performed his bhajan there. And he had many disciples. And one day his disciples complained to the godbrother, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that we left our homes and we've taken shelter of Jagannath Das Babaji, and we want to learn the daily eightfold pastimes of Lord Krishna. But instead, Jagannath Das Babaji is engaging us in growing tulsi, flowers, and fruits for the deity. And we're not satisfied with this. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed them that Jagannath Das Babaji is instructing you in pure bhakti, and if unqualified persons hear of Lord Krishna's intimate pastimes, their anarthas will increase, and gradually they will give up their sadhana. So it is better to purify your hearts by engaging in growing flowers and tulsi and vegetables for the deity of the Lord. And one other time, Jagannath Das Babaji was living in Navadvip, and there was a dog there who had 6 or 7 puppies. And Jagannath Das Babaji would, every time he was offered Mahaprasadam, first he would call the puppies to eat from his own plate, prasadam first, and after the puppies had finished, he would take the remnants. And his disciples were astonished at this, and sometimes they tried to chase the dogs away, but Jagannath Das Babaji would not take any prasadam till the puppies were fed first, because he was teaching that the residents of the Dham are not ordinary dogs, they're the great souls. All the residents of the Dham, even in lower species, they're very fortunate souls. And it is more important to feed the dogs and cows of Navadvip than to feed the Babajis who they're dressed in tilak and tulsi leaves, but secretly they perform illicit activities. So it's better to feed the animals of the Dham than to honor these false devotees. So his whole life, Jagannath Babaji was teaching the importance of pure bhakti. Thank you.
Thank you. We see from our Guru Parampara that all of the great Vaishnava acharyas have always emphasized devotional service for Krishna, acting for Krishna, and preaching for Krishna, spreading Krishna consciousness. So that's pure bhakti or pure devotional service. But I remember reading, there was an article that some of the devotees of the GBC had written, getting out these fake ideas that are propagated in the name of pure bhakti, such as that it's better, instead of actually acting for Krishna and preaching and things like this, book distribution, Harinam, Prasadam distribution, serving the deity very wonderfully. Some people had propagated some ideas that it's better just to sit down and imagine like you're a gopi in Vrindavan and doing these intimate services and things like this. And they had written about how one of these so-called pseudo-devotees of Krishna was preaching at some place about these very esoteric pastimes of Krishna and Radharani. And he saw that one woman in the crowd had begun to cry. And he said, oh yes, she has attained bhava. But what he didn't know is that this woman in the crowd, she was looking and seeing the beard of this guru. And it reminded her, it's a true story, and it reminded her of her goat that she had that had a similar beard. And the goat's name was Radha. And when she saw the guru with the beard and the name Radha coming from his mouth, it awakened some attachment to her four-legged Radha who had recently passed away. And so she began to cry. So there was that example. And then in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, Srila Prabhupada explains that as long as one still has material desires, and specifically is still afflicted by this sex desire, one should not indulge in the pastimes, hearing and speaking in the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, because they can misinterpret it. And he was saying in this purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that one person hearing these pastimes about Krishna and Radharani, he was just recalling time that he spent with his old mundane girlfriend who was also named Radha. So in this purport, he warns that if one still has this sex desire, which is what binds the living entities in this material world, then they shouldn't indulge in hearing and imagining about these pastimes, intimate pastimes of Krishna and Radharani, lest they accidentally recall some mundane woman Radha instead. Or we see in the other example, the four-legged Radha. So our acharyas have always emphasized that one should engage in Krishna's service. In this way, one becomes purified and actually becomes, through engaging in Krishna's service, doing this program that our acharyas have given, one will make gradual progression and automatically go back to the spiritual world and be engaged in all these spiritual activities. In the book was open to this picture. In places like this, this is Vaikuntha, or they can be in Goloka, in other parts of the spiritual world. But that happens through engaging in the service of Krishna, and mainly in preaching. So many of the activities that we're doing, they're all centered on preaching. So we see there's most beautiful dressing and flower offerings and ornamentation of Sri Sri Gauranitai is going on here every day. It's really ecstatic. And so many people can come and immediately become attracted to the spiritual form of the Lord when they come to the temple. And devotees are cooking nice prasadam to offer Sri Sri Gauranitai, and we're distributing prasadam, or devotees are taking the prasadam and then getting fired up to go out and preach or do Harinam or book distribution. So all these activities, when we're acting for Krishna, we're becoming purified, and everyone involved is becoming purified. Whoever grew the vegetables, whoever brought them to the store, whoever sold them to us, and then they're being cooked and offered to the Lord. So, and similarly, whenever we go and we bring people the conclusion of all knowledge, which is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and these books of Srila Prabhupada, when we bring them Krishna in the form of this book, they're getting benefited. Whoever helped them get to that place, whoever drove them to where we're giving them the book is getting benefited. Everything involved, they're giving their money for the books. So their whole life becomes spiritualized and transcendentalized by actually engaging in devotional service when we go and approach people like this. So, okay, those are a few things. It's also the appearance day of Rasika Ananda Prabhu, but we're way over the time. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.